Hello, I'm Jeff Powers. Ladies, gentlemen, and my fellow patriots, I am releasing my video for the first time, and you are seeing me for the first time. The reason why I am releasing this video is because I want to spread the truth of what really happened at the Malhuer Refuge in Oregon when Ammon Bundy decided to be at the refuge along with LaVoy Finicum. I have been keeping track of what had happened there and what Ammon Bundy's and LaVoy's Finicum's intents were at the refuge. There were quite a lot of people out there that have been misguided by the news media outlets and even the federal government. So my intent is to set this straight, and to those who had been misguided by all this. Alright, and I'm doing this before September 7th, and this is where the trial is going to take place at this kangaroo court, where Ammon Bundy, Ryan Bundy, and the rest of our incarcerated patriots will be brought forward on, on September 7th. So that, that's why I want to get this truth out before then. So, um, so basically what had happened was when, Ammon Bundy and, LaVoy Finicum, when they were at the refuge, and the reason why they took up the refuge is because they wanted to set the example of the of the land there, in which the federal government took claim of. Now their purpose, Ammon Bundy's and LaVoy Finicum's purpose of being there is because they want to address and to set the example of that piece of land to the federal government, that the federal government cannot own any portion of the land. So this is the example that they were trying to get across to the federal government. Alright, and so that was not the only reason that they were there for. There was another reason that they were there for, was because of the Hammonds that were put in jail the second time. So they were addressing on that too. So basically, they were trying to get the the grievance from the federal government to release the Hammonds from jail. Because it was wrong for the Hammonds to be sent back in jail the second time. Okay, and so I have my Constitution book here also, and this contains all the rights and all the amendments that the federal government we're supposed to follow. Okay, and there's certain parts of the amendment that I want to address, to show that where the federal government has failed to abide by. Okay, and Ammon Bundy, LaVoy Finicum, Ryan Bundy, and the rest of our patriots that were there were trying to um, uphold and to stand up for their rights as according to the Constitution. So I don't think that Ammon Bundy and the others are in the wrong at all. I have been keeping track of uh, what they did, all along. So, um, but this Constitution holds a lot of the laws, and it also clearly stated that the Constitution itself, which is what it says here, this Constitution and the laws of the United States which shall be made in pursuance thereof, and all treaties made or which shall be made under the authority of the United States shall be the supreme law of the land, and the judges in every state shall be bound thereby anything in the Constitution or laws of any state to the contrary notwithstanding. Now, the federal judges is violating this portion of the law. They are to uphold every piece of the law in the Constitution and to follow it. So, are they doing it? No, they're not. So, now, the federal government does not have the right to obtain any parcels of land in any states. Okay, and that's why Ammon Bundy, LaVoy, Finicum has set that example when they were at the refuge. And that piece of land does not belong to the federal government. And this Constitution explains it well. And I will read that part, what it clearly states. It states here, to exercise exclusive legislation in all cases whatsoever over such district not exceeding 10 miles square, as may by cession of particular states, and the acceptance of Congress becomes the seat of the government of the United States, and to exercise like authority over all places purchased by the consent of the legislature of the state in which the same shall be, and for the erection of forts, magazines, arsenals, dockyards, and other needful buildings, and to make all laws which shall be necessary and proper for carrying into execution the foregoing powers, and all other powers vested by this Constitution in the government of the United States, or in any department or officer thereof. Now, that clearly states that the federal government cannot have or own any portion of land, nor establish any buildings on any parts of the land except for within Washington, D.C. and in the White House. So, as the Constitution stated clearly, that for any needful needful buildings of such cannot exceed 10 miles per square in diameter. Okay, so they cannot own any land, they cannot build any buildings because it is the buildings is not a necessity. The land belongs to the people of the state. It belongs to the state as well. It is the responsibility of each state to maintain their own land, not the federal government. Okay, so this problem is occurring in the western part of the United States as well as in the central part of the United States. So on the eastern side, of all the states on the eastern side is well regulated by the states. Okay, and the states maintains their own land, and so the states have made it fair that the land is shared between the state and the people of that state. So it is shared, and people do have their small businesses on these shared lands where they have ski lodges. You can be able to snowmobile on the trails, and none of the trails or the roads, that is the dirt road, are ever blocked. Okay, so because the land is shared between the state and the people of that state, and so whereas none of the land is owned by the federal government at all. So this is in accordance to the Constitution. Now, for what's happening out west in the central part of the United States, it's not in accordance to the Constitution. Now, for each and every state, they must stand up and demand that the parcel of lands be given back to the states. So this must be done. Anyways, now with the Ammon Bundy and LaVoy, Finicum, Ryan Bundy, when they were there at the refuge, they assembled there peacefully, and they have asked every American citizens as well as patriots to come out to assemble with them peacefully. That was their intent, and they went along with what was described in this Constitution. And under this Constitution, it stated clearly, which Ammon, LaVoy, Ryan, as well as the others have followed. It clearly states here under Amendment 1, the Congress shall make no laws respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or of the right of the people peacefully to assemble and to petition the government for redress of grievances. And this is one of the reasons why Ammon Bundy and LaVoy Finicum had stood and asked for a redress of grievances over the Hammonds. They demanded that the Hammonds be released out of jail. So, and also this part of this amendment covers the right of the press that means Pete Santilli has the right of the press. And that was his intention, was to cover uh, this news broadcast of what was happening at the refuge and getting the message out to the federal government um, through Ammon Bundy and LaVoy Finicum. So there was three things right there. Actually, one is on the land, which they have set an example of the federal government overreach. That's number one. Number two, they were trying to put out a redress of grievances on the Hammonds because the federal government has violated another part of their Constitution, which I will explain in a minute. And third is freedom of press, which Pete Santilli has had the right to that. And he was illegally arrested, because of the fact that he was, practicing his right to press. Okay, and so now I'm going to go over to this issue with the Hammonds when Ammon Bundy and LaVoy Finicum try to explain, to spread this and explain it. The Amendment 5 clearly states that no person shall be held to answer for capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on a presentment or indictment of grand jury, except in cases arising in the land or naval forces or in the militia, when in actual service in time of war or public danger, nor shall any person be subject for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb, nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be witness against himself, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. So this entire part here is what Ammon Bundy and LaVoy Finicum had tried to get across. Okay, and there's additional parts in there that which concerns the militia that was there at the refuge. Okay, and so again, for this part here, war in the militia when in actual service in time of war or public danger. So that's that. Public danger. Nor shall any person be subject for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life, limb, nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself. Okay, so these federal judges are in pure violation of this constitutional law. Now there are those that are part of the militia. They were put in jeopardy, and treated as criminals. And the purpose of these gentlemen that was at the refuge, um, being part of the militia, and they have the right to bear arms. And the reason why they were there is because they were trying to protect themselves. They were trying to protect Ammon Bundy. They were trying to protect LaVoy Finicum. And they were also trying to protect Ryan Bundy, as well as the rest of the patriots that were there, that came and assembled there. And the reason why they did that is because they knew about the incident that happened in Waco, Texas, when the FBI came to the church building where these people are Davidians. And so this building here was a combination of a church and a home. Okay, and there were a lot of people there. There were children of all ages that were in that building. There were adults that were in that building, and there were the elderly people that were in that building. So basically, people of all ages were in that building. So the FBI showed up, and they brought out their so-called team called hostage rescue team. Okay, and so they had forced these people to remain in the building, and they would not let any of them out of the building. So these people were stuck in the building. Even the kids were stuck in the building. So this was a 51-day siege that the FBI had taken on the building, and so they proceeded to go in with military tanks, which is illegal to use against the American citizens, and other military vehicles. So what the FBI and their so-called hostage rescue team had done was that they came in with the tanks and destroyed the building. And at the moment, while they destroyed the building caught on fire. So that brought to the death of these people that were trapped in that building. So basically, the FBI and their so-called team had killed these people in the building. So, and this is why the militias had shown up at the refuge to combat the FBI and their so-called team. In any case, if they make their first shot. So, Ammon Bundy, Ryan Bundy, LaVoy Finicum had assembled peacefully without firing one shot. Without firing a shot. So, now many parts of this amendment in the Constitution, the federal government has violated those amendments, which I have pointed out. And so then after the refuge, Ammon Bundy, LaVoy Finicum, and even Ryan Bundy, as well as Shauna Cox and a couple others, they were on their way to John Day at a meeting. Okay, again, they were trying to assemble peacefully with the citizens at John Day to explain about the federal government overreach in their land grabbing, which is they were trying to point out that it is illegal for the federal government to obtain these partial lands, um, in any states, and so that's a violation. So now that Ammon Bundy, Ryan Bundy, and the rest of our patriots are incarcerated, so now we're dealing with these federal judges in this kangaroo court. Okay, again, the federal judges is violating the constitutional laws, and so they're not following the Constitution like they are supposed to be, and they are supposed to uphold the oath of the Constitution. So for each and every one of the amendments in the Constitution, they are violating it. So I want to point out that since our patriots are incarcerated, so there are some things that must be addressed, and you should know what is in the Constitution that the federal judges cannot do. Okay. Now, I did learn about that the federal judge is planning to set the fines. So there was one that they had set for one of our patriots at $500,000 in fine, but yet that's illegal, and I'll tell you why. In Amendment 8, clearly states excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines imposed, nor cruel and unusual punishment inflicted. Now, that set fine that the federal judges are trying to implement is a violation. So this needs to be addressed. Ryan Bundy, Ammon Bundy, Shona Cox, and as well as the rest of our patriots, including John Ritzheimer. The federal judge cannot fine the charges to any of our fellow patriots that are incarcerated, and also those who are out of incarceration. So here's another one that the judge cannot do to any of our incarcerated patriots. Under Amendment 9, it clearly states the enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. Who are the people? It's we the people. We the patriots. We have awesome fellow patriots out there who are currently giving news. We have excellent patriots, awesome patriots like Maureen Peltier And we have Kelly Stewart, and we have others like Gavin Syme. These patriots are the example of what we call we the people. For every one of us that stands up for Ammon Bundy, Ryan Bundy, Shauna Cox, and all others that have been accused by the federal government of these ludicrous charges, and so they cannot be fined, as what is stated in their Constitution. Again, it clearly states excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines imposed. And I'm going to repeat this one more time. Excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines imposed, nor cruel or unusual punishment inflicted. So, Ammon Bundy, Ryan Bundy, and all the rest of our patriots have every rights to defend themselves without being inflicted. So let's get the word out there, and make sure that these crooked federal judges are aware of these amendments that I have just specified out of this Constitution. Okay, so so this is why I'm putting my video out, before September 7th to address this issue here, and I have stated all of these amendments and the articles in this Constitution. So, to ensure that Ammon Bundy, Ryan Bundy, Shauna Cox, John Ritzheimer, and all the rest of our patriots, including Pete Santilli, have their rights, and they shall not be disparaged or mistreated in any way, as what is said in the Constitution. So their trial must be fair with equality. So this is why I'm trying to spread this out, and so I don't care if you send my video out to the senators, representatives on this case here, and what is in the Constitution. Okay, I don't care if you do that. And you're free to share my videos to others to let them know, what exactly happened at the refuge, and what Ammon Bundy's, LaVoy, Finicum's, and Ryan Bundy's intent. What they were trying to do. So therefore, they have not done anything illegal. So it is the federal government, the federal judges, even the Bureau of Land Management, as well as the EPA. They are violating every articles and amendment in this Constitution. So they are supposed to follow the Constitution. The Constitution is not dead. It is still a living documentation that we all live by. We have our rights, and we have the freedom to speak, as I have my freedom. And I just want to address this to any federal officials that they cannot violate my First Amendment rights, which is the freedom of speech. And this is why I have my flag that says, "Don't tread on me." So the federal government, I don't care if it's the FBI or anybody in particular, um, they're not going to violate my First Amendment rights. And I have forgotten one other thing is that after when Ryan Bundy, Ammon Bundy, LaVoy, Finicum, when they were on their way to the John Day at the meeting, um, so after when they got illegally arrested, and when the refuge was cleared out, and the FBI had stepped into the refuge building. So what happened there was that they tore that building upside down and created a big, huge mess. So the FBI, the Bureau of Land Management, was accusing Ammon Bundy, Ryan Bundy, and as well as the rest of our incarcerated patriots of making a mess. So that is a lie. It is the FBI and their so-called team who made the mess because they were trying to dig up any evidences that they can find in the building, whereas so that they can present it to court. So they have found no evidence whatsoever. Okay, so I'm just clearing this up that Ammon Bundy, Ryan Bundy, Shona Cox, John Ritzimer, and all the rest have been accused. And so what the FBI claims, what the Bureau of Land Management claims, and even the federal prosecutors, I'm sorry, have claimed they are, they are simply lying. They're not telling the truth. So, Ammon Bundy and Ryan Bundy right now, they are trying to fight for their rights while they're being incarcerated. And so they're even trying to fight for their rights in court and trying to get the judge to abide by the constitutional laws. Okay, so basically the federal judge it's just simply violating the constitutional laws and the rights of these men. Alright, so this is why I'm putting this out there to spread the truth of what really happened all of that time from the refuge all the way to the court. Okay, so I hope that everyone out there understands the intent that Ammon Bundy, Ryan Bundy, LaVoy, Finicum has made out of all this time. Okay, so I want to say thank you for watching, and I hope you spread this to others and get them to understand what really happened. Thank you.